Good day or welcome back to South Africa, and this is South African Prepper on the 11th of January 2023. We thought we'll make this video about what's happening in the Ukrainian war. Now, for our normal viewers, you'll notice that we don't really report anything about the war in Ukraine. And there are a couple of reasons for this. And it's always good to have what we call the battle of the mind. You see, in the society we live today, people just eat up all of the information. They actually don't go through the information to see what is actually real and what is true about the information that they're getting. Okay, so we haven't reported on the Ukrainian war for one reason, and that is because they call it the fog of war. So I personally believe that 80% of what we are being fed about the Ukrainian war are absolute lies. It's very difficult to see really what's happening on the ground in Ukraine. Because we are constantly being told for the last, I think, 10 months now, that the Ukrainian, or I actually call them the NATO forces, the NATO forces are continuously winning. They're winning, but Russia is still inside of Ukraine. Now, let me share this thought with you. Why I believe the war in Ukraine is justified. Now, I'm not justifying war. Any type of a war is absolutely wrong. I feel really bad for the normal average person like myself and you living in Ukraine. Just imagine you have to leave your city because it's being shelled and bombed and missiles are being thrown on it. So I really feel for the normal people on the ground, because this is really I would say, political war of some sorts. You know, people at the top fighting with people at the top. It's actually quite ridiculous. But I want to put this thought into your mind, and you can think about it, digest it, use it, don't use it. So in 2014, there was the Minsk Agreement, and I think the Prime Minister of Germany, Olaf Scholz, that lady, she confessed quite recently that the Minsk Agreement was just there to sort of keep Russia at bay, keep them busy a little bit. So they made a whole lot of empty promises about parts of Ukraine, because the Minsk Agreement is all about protecting the integrity of Russia. So I want to put this to you. If it doesn't matter where you are in the world, let's say you have got your little country there, okay, and the country next to you decides we're going to put in some missiles, or we're going to put in some artillery on the borders so that we can actually shoot at you. How would you feel about that? And I think that is exactly what happened to Russia. NATO have been training soldiers and putting equipment into Ukraine for more than 10 years now. And they really started to feel threatened about this. And I can understand why Putin decided to actually go into Ukraine. And the Minsk Agreement has to do with the Russian-speaking Ukrainians as well. And I read up about these people, and I want to tell you that these people are much like white minorities in South Africa. They were forced to stop speaking their language, stop teaching their kids in school in Russian. Their churches were closed. They were harassed by the so-called Ukrainian police and the army. I mean, I can understand why this is all happening. What really bothers me is that Putin said a while back he would never ever use nuclear unless he gets attacked first. Okay? He said his word, and I quote, he said, "I will not use nuclear weapons first, second, or thirdly." Now, I'm not sure about how the third one works, but I would assume that his objective will be that if they shoot a nuclear weapon towards me and we defend ourselves, let's say they intercept the nuclear weapon, we will then wait for a second strike, and then if they go in for a second kill, then we will retaliate on the third strike. Now, what's extremely concerning to me about this whole war is that, firstly, according to Western media, Ukraine is consistently winning. Now, this is an absolute lie. They're lying to you. Okay? The second thing is that the Western world is not doing is somebody should be screaming from the top of their lungs, peace. We need to talk peace. We need to sit down. We need to find a resolution, because I can tell you now, the Ukrainian army is losing people like mad. They are losing meat. They call it a meat grinder. I think the Ukrainian army started with something like 600,000 soldiers, and they've already lost, dead, in the ground, buried, about 200,000. Now, yes, the Russian side also has casualties, but they don't have as much as the Ukrainian side or the NATO side. And what scares me the most is that Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is consistently asking and begging. He's actually begging for more weapons. So he's begging for the war to continue. And in the meantime, Russia is destroying Ukraine. Every single day, they are shooting artilleries and missiles and bombing things and taking over villages and cities. There's going to be nothing left of Ukraine. And what also scares me is, I look on YouTube, channels like ours, prepping channels in America, and these people are consistently telling you, be afraid of nuclear war, be afraid, buy your nuclear pills and buy your bunkers and all of... Guys, Putin told you, if you don't attack me with nuclear weapons, I will not retaliate. And here is the reality. Putin and the Russian Federation has got the ability to nuke all of Europe, including all of North America, and flatten it. Okay? And flatten it. But he realizes the consequences of that. So again, why are NATO keep on supplying this war? Why are they not actually screaming on the top of their lungs, we need to sit down, we need to firstly honor the Minsk agreement? And believe me, if they honor the Minsk agreement, Putin will say, right, let us stop the war. But they've lied to you. They've lied to Putin. They've lied to the Russian people. They've lied to the Ukrainian people. Okay? And now the elites of this world sitting in Washington, I think they call it Silicon Valley or some ridiculous thing. Okay? These people are making a shitload of money by sending old equipment to Ukraine. Okay? While in Russia, they have started building their tanks again and their missiles again. They've ramped up production something like 100 to 150% of certain of the ammos to keep on fueling the war in Ukraine. While, poor Ukraine is getting all of the old stuff under dust in a warehouse somewhere in a NATO country's warehouse. They're sending that over. Okay? And at some stage, those countries have to actually replenish that, let's call it the artilleries or the vehicles or the ammos or the whatever, the hardware of war. Okay? And somebody's making a shitload of money about on this whole Ukrainian war. It's absolutely ridiculous. People hanging flags up, supporting war. How the fuck are you hanging up a Ukrainian flag and you're supporting war? People are absolutely insane. And then you go on YouTube and you warn everybody, we're going to be nuked. We're going to be nuked. Stop talking about, just to mention nuclear bombs is being stupid. Just thinking about nuclear bombs, it should not even pass your lips. And this is the scary part, because the West are consistently talking about nuclear bombing. And I believe that they are going to be the first ones to drop one. And then there's going to be hell on this earth. This is South African Prepper. Just some thought sharing, the battle of the mind. Okay, keep it open. Be safe. like, share, and keep on laughing.